I had this goal that I set when I was 15 years old that I thought the height of success would be if I could become a millionaire. I wanted to have $1 million in the bank and I wanted to be netting $1 million per year. That was it. My naive 15-year-old self couldn't think of a greater parameter or measure of success was to be a millionaire. This is 15-year-old naive Mark. I worked hard at that goal for most of my adult life. And it took me 23 years to do it, but when I finally realized that I had done it, I had saved and had some money in some accounts that totaled up about $1 million, whatever. And then I got my tax return from my accountant. I opened up the laptop and it said for the very first time, $1,023,000 this particular year, several years ago. I remember shutting the laptop thinking, wow, I did it. I accomplished the only goal that I had ever set, the only long-term goal that I had ever set, my only parameter of success that I had ever set for myself. I did it, shut the laptop, realized I'd never been more miserable in my life. And that's when we came up with the 4 quadrants. Because if I was to assess myself in the mindfulness quadrant, my ability to handle stress, my internal self-dialogue, my overall mindset, I would have to give myself a 0 out of 10. My meaning quadrant, all of my personal and professional relationships were suffering because of the amount that I was working, 80 hours a week. I was a boss hole at work. I was not fun to be around at home. Nobody wanted to be around me. I would have to give myself a 0 out of 10 in the meaning quadrant. I had no legacy, I had no purpose. The only reason I was doing it was to chase another dollar and another comma. This is extremely unfulfilling. My muscle quadrant, I was a collegiate athlete. I had always been in really good shape, but working that much, those hours, I was eating fast food, drinking too much just to go to sleep at night. And to ease the pain and stress and anxiety, I'd have to give myself a 0 out of 10 in the muscle quadrant back then. But the money quadrant, 10 out of 10. I did it. Would you consider me a successful person? I would say no. I would say I was a miserable, unhappy, unsuccessful person. So when we're looking at turning the subjective into objective, it's not that hard to do if you're separating things out and really taking a good, honest look at you as a composite human being. Not a dentist, not a business owner, as a human. How am I conducting myself? How am I moving through life? What am I telling myself from moment to moment? What does my internal dialogue sound like? What does my vibrancy look like? Am I leaving a lot on the table when it comes to my physical well-being? These are things that we all have under our control. Ryan Holiday later is going to be talking about the Stoics, and their number one thing, the number one tenet in Stoicism is being able to separate what you can control versus what you cannot control. All of those things that I just talked about are completely within your control. And we don't talk about happiness, we talk about fulfillment. We're talking about deep down, do we feel like we have a purpose? Am I serving my professional obligations and my family obligations? Am I doing the most with all the opportunity that I have been given?